So what does the Bible say about talking with spirits? There are certainly passages in the Old Testament that are against it. Leviticus 19:31 says, "Give no regard to mediums and familiar spirits. Do not seek after them to be defiled by them." And the next chapter there goes on to forbid child sacrifice, which is really horrendous, and then adds, "The person who turns to mediums and familiar spirits to prostitute himself with them will set my face against that person and cut him off from his people. Consecrate yourselves, therefore, and be holy." Then, after mentioning other horrendous evils, bestiality, and listing various types of incest that are prohibited, the chapter ends by saying, quote, "A man or a woman who is a medium or who has familiar spirits shall surely be put to death." Deuteronomy also forbids it, and again strangely aligns it with child sacrifice. "There shall not be found among you anyone who makes his son or his daughter pass through the fire, or one who practices witchcraft, or a soothsayer, or one who interprets omens, or a sorcerer, or one who conjures spells, or a medium, or a spiritist, or one who calls up the dead. For all who do these things are an abomination to the Lord." In the New Testament as well, we're cautioned, but in a different way. "Beloved, do not believe every spirit, but test the spirits whether they are of God, because many false prophets have gone out into the world." Now hang on. That's very different than saying you'll be stoned to death for doing any such thing because it's all an abomination. This doesn't even say don't talk to spirits. It's more like, if you do talk to spirits, make sure you have the right ones. And the implication is that some actually are of God and are true prophets. So what happened there between the Old Testament and the New Testament? I think the answer would have to be Jesus. Jesus happened in between there. The Gospels show him constantly casting out demons and healing the demon-possessed. Swedenborg explains something fascinating about how things used to be before Jesus fixed it. Quote, "There are spirits called earthly and physical spirits who do not unite with our thoughts when they come to us the way other spirits do, but rather enter our bodies and take over all its senses, talking through our mouths and acting through our limbs. These are the spirits that possess people, but they have been cast into hell by the Lord and moved decisively away. So possession like this no longer occurs nowadays." So Swedenborg is talking here about a particular kind of possession, full bodily possession. A spirit in the afterlife has totally taken control of your body and is just wearing you as a flesh suit and doing what it wants, like a horror movie or something. And there are loads of spirits up there who loved physical addictions or being violent or sexually out of control, who would relish the chance to take us over like this. So Jesus put a stop to possession of our bodies, but not all the danger has gone away. Spirits can still possess our minds and hearts. Swedenborg describes how evil spirits today aim for dominance over us by using a more inward path. Quote, "Many people today are possessed by spirits, since inward possession still exists, though the outward possession of former times does not. We can tell what they're like if we pay attention to our thoughts and feelings, and especially to our deepest intentions, which we may be afraid to expose. In some people, these intentions are insane. These pernicious spirits try especially hard to loosen all our internal restraints, the desire for what is good and true, the desire for what is just and fair, fear of God's law, and shame to harm our community or country. When these internal bonds are undone, such spirits take total possession of us. This possession is something we cannot escape unless we have a desire for good and a resulting belief in the Lord, the faith that Curtis was talking about. Swedenborg would never tell you there's no danger in spirit contact, but with the other hand, he offers the remedy, being a good person and believing in the Lord. And all this is only one side of the biblical coin. Doesn't Jesus say in the Bible, God is spirit, and those who worship him must worship in spirit and truth? So wait a minute. You mean I'll be killed or taken over by hostile forces if I communicate with spirits, but God is a spirit, and therefore I can't worship God if I don't? What? So let's think about this some more. Scripture talks about angels. Where do they fit in? Psalm 104 says God makes his angels spirits. So if it's bad to talk to spirits, is it bad to talk to Angels? Even in the Old Testament, it seems not. An angel has a conversation with Hagar that greatly improves her situation, saves her life and the life of her son. Gideon, another biblical character, sees an angel who gives him a positive mission that moves the story forward. Abraham saw 3 of them, and he and his wife had a longed-for son. Manoah and his wife, Mary, the mother of Jesus, Zacharias, the shepherds, in fact, most of the good people in the Bible see and talk with angels. In fact, you may remember the story of Balaam and his donkey. Balaam is depicted as an idiot for not seeing the angel, and his donkey was right for seeing it. So if angels are spirits, and people in the Bible talk to angels, and that's okay, is it just the bad spirits we shouldn't be talking to, or talking to them for the wrong reasons? Because if you take, number 1, talking with spirits, number 2, talking with angels, and number 3, having otherworldly visions, and lump them all together under the heading of spiritual experiences, isn't the Bible a book of spiritual experiences? Remove the spiritual experiences from the Bible, and Moses doesn't see the burning bush and doesn't hear God telling him to free the children of Israel. Remove the spiritual experiences, and you don't get the 10 Commandments because they were written with the finger of God, and God is a spirit. Remove the spiritual experiences, and Samuel doesn't get called. Elisha's servant doesn't see the chariots of fire. Isaiah doesn't see the throne room of God. Nebuchadnezzar doesn't see the 4th figure in the fiery furnace. And Ezekiel doesn't see the dry bones come back to life, or the wheels within wheels, or the New Jerusalem. How much would be left of the Hebrew Scriptures? There'd be no book of Zechariah at all, and not much left of the other prophets either. Remove the spiritual experiences from the New Testament, and Zacharias sees no angel and doesn't name his child John. Mary either doesn't get pregnant at all, or if she does, Joseph abandons her because no angel tells him not to. And Mary doesn't know what to call the child. If they make it through that, Jesus would likely still be killed as a child by Herod because no angel would warn Joseph to escape the danger. And of course, Mary Magdalene doesn't see the resurrected Jesus and just stays sad. The disciples don't see him either. Thomas doesn't touch his wounds. John never sees the vision of the Last Judgment or the New Jerusalem, so there's no book of Revelation. The day of Pentecost never happens. Paul doesn't see Jesus on the road to Damascus. Peter stays in prison because no angel released him. And without Peter and Paul, Christianity doesn't get underway. So sure, if spirits and angels have real power, and talking with the wrong ones can open Pandora's box and cause you and others a lot of harm, especially if you happen to be into big evils like incest or child sacrifice. But the Bible does not teach that it is universally bad to have spiritual experiences or to talk with spirits and angels.
I never thought about it like that before, how fundamental spiritual experiences actually are to the whole narrative in the Bible.